Hey everybody, Dr. Joe's in the house on this Wednesday evening. Hope you're doing well. Very hot over here in the Washington D.C. area. Very depressing. I don't know if you guys watching the World Cup. Yeah, England lost to Argentina today. Very sad. Anyway, it is what it is. It looks like the cup final on Sunday is going to be between Argentina against Spain. It should be a good game. So we'll see who wins. I have an idea who I'd like to win, but I'll keep that to myself. So anyway, I hope you're doing well on this Wednesday evening. Let me just get the folks on Instagram on. Let me just get that going. It should be going on in a second. Just 1 second. And but anyway, let's get going. If I can get the Instagram folks on, I will like that. Anyway, it looks like it's not going to work for Instagram today. Anyway, so today we're talking about building a business, a real estate business that you love, something that's sustainable, something that you actually enjoy doing. Real estate is hard work, and it's not easy. And yeah, it's not easy at all, despite what the gurus tell you. It's not a matter of just buy a house and everything's nice and rosy and you live happily ever after. No, it's not like that at all. There are problems and there are ups and downs. There are market cycles. But I think if you have a business that you actually enjoy, something that you find satisfying and rewarding, it kind of keeps you going through during the difficult times, what there will be. So today, it's the session is really focused on what you can do to build that kind of business, which hopefully will work for you, and that will get you the kind of um, goals that you're desiring for. Okay, so let's get down to it. So, what if the biggest threat to your financial freedom isn't the real estate market, but the business you've built around your investment? The business, it is a business. Many residential real estate investors begin with dreams of passive income, flexible schedules, long-term wealth, live the good life. Yet somewhere along the way, those dreams are replaced by late night maintenance calls, difficult tenants, constant repairs, and never-ending list of responsibilities that that's on your head. Instead of owning a business that creates freedom, many investors find out the hard way that they're trapped by one of the demands, and it sucks your time, it sucks your energy, and especially as you grow your portfolio. The good news is that it doesn't have to be this way. Really, the most successful investors don't simply focus on buying more rental properties. They intentionally design a business that supports their financial goals, their lifestyle, and also their long-term vision. That's really what it's all about: building a business that's intentional and supports your financial goals, your lifestyle, and also your long-term vision. I know that's what I did when I first started. I always wanted to have income outside of my job and also to have more flexibility over my time. And that was a driver for me. That was a driver that got me into buy and hold, and also the opportunity to transition out of my corporate job. Well, the most successful investors don't simply focus on buying more rental properties. As before, they intentionally build something that they build systems. They surround themselves with the right team, leverage technology, and also establish clear investment criteria. This criteria allows them to, or at least put their business to become more efficient as they grow. So as they grow, it becomes more manageable and so on. So this live stream today, I'm going to share some of my lessons learned in this business for about 38 years, and also share some experiences from others, which I've done some research on some of that success and some of that have failed. We'll examine the good, the bad, the ugly of building a residential real estate business while maintaining proven strategies that help you hopefully avoid common mistakes and create a business profile that's profitable, scalable, and also enjoyable. Whether you are purchasing your first rental property or managing a large portfolio, these principles that hopefully I will share today will hopefully significantly improve your chances of long-term success. So as usual, I've broken the session down to 6 parts, 1 through 6. And if you got some questions, please put them in the chat box, and I'll try and get to them. Put them in the chat box here, and I'll get to about 15 minutes. As always, if you want to book a one-on-one with me, where we can do a deep dive into a situation problem that you may have, you can go to my website, www.joeasimo.com, www.joeasimo.com. And and then we can do a one-on-one. I did a one-on-one yesterday with Pete, a good session. And we talked about different ideas to jumpstart his business and so on. So book a one-on-one with me if you feel that I can be of assistance and leverage my 39 years worth of experiences, so you don't have to recreate the wheel. Okay, so let's get down to number one of 6. So define your vision before you buy another property. Define your vision before you buy another property. Well, the question is, are you building the real estate business that you've always wanted, or simply collecting rental properties without a clear destination? Are you building a real estate business that you've always wanted, or are you simply just collecting rental properties without a destination? So many investors make the mistake of believing that buying more properties automatically leads to greater financial freedom. That is not the case. In reality, purchasing additional rentals without a clear vision often creates more complexity, more stress, and more work. It does. Successful investors begin by defining what they want the business to look like years from now. They know whether they're investing for early retirement, supplemental income, generational wealth, or a full-time business. And every acquisition that they make supports that objective. So it's right up front, they have an idea of what it is that they want out of this real estate: early retirement, supplemental income, generational wealth, or full-time business. So, one of the biggest lessons learned from experienced investors is that not every good deal is the right deal. Just because it's a good deal doesn't necessarily mean that you should buy it. Investors who purchase properties simply because there are good deals or they appear to be profitable often ended up with scattered properties all over the place, inconsistent property types, a little bit of multifamily, a little bit of single family, a little bit of condos, a little bit of townhouses, and so, unreliable contractors and management headaches that made their business increasingly more difficult to operate. So by contrast, investors who followed a clearly defined investment criteria built portfolios that were easier to manage, more profitable, and better aligned with their personal goals. And that is the key. It's understanding what it is that you want and making sure that each purchase, each acquisition is consistent with what it is that you're trying to do and the direction that you're trying to go in. So building a real estate business you love begins with intentional decision making. Before submitting an offer on your next property, ask whether it moves you closer to the business and lifestyle you ultimately are looking for. Even every property should strengthen your overall strategy rather than distract from it. Investors who remain disciplined in their decision making are far more likely to enjoy sustained success while avoiding unnecessary stress and burnout. Essentially, what I'm saying here is that create a buy box, develop some criteria of what it is that you are looking for, and that will help you avoid buying stuff all over the place. You buy stuff that meets clear criteria, whether it be in terms of price point, in terms of location, in terms of property type, in terms of the square footage, in terms of the condition of the house. All these things helps you, kind of weed out the ones that don't meet that criteria. And so hopefully you can focus on just those properties that make the most sense to you. Okay, so that's number one. Let's get down to number two: build systems. Again, building a business that you love. Build systems that work even when you don't. Build systems that work even when you don't. What does that mean? Well, is your real estate business built around dependable systems, or does everything depend on you? Is your system, is your business built around systems, or is it all focused around you? Well, one of the defining characteristics of successful real estate investors is that they build systems before they build large portfolios. New investors often believe they don't need documented processes until they own dozens or a dozen properties. That is not true. The earlier you establish systems, believe me, this is it. The earlier you can establish systems for things like tenant screening, rent collection, maintenance coordination, bookkeeping, leasing, and communications, the easier it becomes to scale without being overwhelmed. Yeah, every time you have a new tenant, you don't want to have, you should have systems in place which clearly directs you as to what you need to do. Step one, step two, step three, step four, and so forth. And that's what I mean by systems, repeatable processes. Many investors have learned the hard way that relying on memory or handling every task personally eventually will lead to mistakes, inconsistent service, and unnecessary stress. Yep. Missed lease renewals, delayed maintenance, forgotten inspections, and poor record keeping can quickly become expensive problems. So, investors who implement standardized procedures create more predictable operations, improve the tenant experience, and spend less time solving the same problems repeatedly. Okay, successful investors recognize that systems create freedom. They continually refine their processes, automate repetitive tasks, and document best practices so their business operates more efficiently, regardless of whether they are personally involved on a day to day basis or not. Instead of constantly recreating problems or reacting to problems, they proactively manage their businesses with consistency and confidence. Essentially, what I'm saying is that have repeatable processes. So if A happens, you do one, two, and three. If B happens, you do three, four, five. If C happens, you do seven, eight, nine. Okay, so that way you don't have to recreate the wheel every time you run into a situation. Okay, let's move on to number three. Build the right team. You can't do it alone. This is absolutely true. There was a time when I was a lone wolf trying to do all this stuff myself. Hey, all it does is burns you out. So, are you building a real estate business or simply creating another demanding full time job for yourself? Well, many investors initially believe they can save money by handling every aspect of the job themselves, the business themselves. While this approach may work for one or two properties, believe me, it becomes increasingly difficult as your portfolio grows. Successful investors understand that long term growth depends on surrounding yourselves with trusted professionals who can perform specialized tasks more efficiently and effectively. The most successful investors, I think, develop strong relationships with people like contractors, property managers, lenders, insurance professionals, accountants, attorneys, and real estate agents. All these people that you kind of interact with as you go through your business life cycle. These trusted partners not only solve problems faster, but they also help you identify opportunities and avoid costly mistakes. Investors who refuse to delegate often experience burnout, slower growth, and missed opportunities because they simply run out of time and simply run out of energy. They get burnt out. Building a dependable team doesn't mean giving up control. No, it doesn't. It means creating leverage by allowing qualified professionals to handle specialized responsibilities. What it does is that investors can now focus on more higher value activities, and such as finding new deals, I don't know, strengthening lender relationships and making strategic decisions that grow your portfolio. Okay, so kind of number three, we're halfway through. Again, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat box. I'll get to them shortly. And if you want to do a one-on-one with me where you can do a deep dive into a particular problem that you're experiencing, whether it be real estate, whether it be property management, whether it be tenants, whether it be landlords, whatever the issue, if you feel that can be of assistance to you, book a one-on-one with me and we can do a deep dive into your specific situation. If you've got a general question, please put them in the chat box and I'll get to them in about 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, so let's get to number four. The fourth topic is buy properties. As you know, this is sort of leading to uh, establish businesses that you love. Buy properties that match your business strategy. Buy properties that match your business strategy. And the question is, just because a property is a good deal, does that make it the right one for you? Hmm. Just because it's a good deal doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good deal for you. Many investors have purchased properties based solely on attractive pricing or projected cash flow, only to discover later that the investment didn't fit their long term strategy. Well, some bought rentals located hours away from their existing portfolio or even from their home. Other investors invested in unfamiliar property types or neighborhoods that require significant more management than they expected. These decisions often created operational headaches that outweighed the financial benefits. It's just too much trouble. Experienced investors understand that every property should strengthen the overall business rather than making it complicated. They focus on neighborhoods, locations. That's the key. And locations that they know, property types that they understand, and investment opportunities that align with their financial strategy, management systems, and long-term objectives. Consistency often produces better long-term results than constantly chasing the next quote unquote great deal. Building a business you enjoy requires discipline. Also, successful investors regularly pass up on profitable opportunities because they recognize, those opportunities may distract them from their broader vision. Okay. So their goal isn't simply just to buy more stuff, buy more properties, is to own the right real estate, the right locations, and the right property types. Okay, move on to the five of six. Leverage technology to work smarter. Leverage technology to work smarter. The question is, how much more could your business accomplish if technology handled your routine tasks? I'm getting really into technology and AI, especially. I'm getting really into that one, and using more AI in business operations. Generating insights into how my business is performing. It's really amazing what AI can do. But anyway, in today's environment, successful investors, I think, rely heavily on technology to improve efficiency, communications, and decision making. I am getting more into that. Online rent collections, digital lease signings, maintenance management, cloud document storage, accounting platforms. There's a whole bunch of different things where you can use technology to manage growing your portfolio with far less administrative effort than ever before. Investors who resist technology, often spend countless hours completing tasks that could easily be automated. They manually track payments, maintain paper files, respond individually to routine questions, and struggle to locate important information when they need it. These inefficiencies consume valuable time that could be invested in finding new opportunities or strengthening existing operations. So technology should never be used to replace personal relationships, but it should be used to eliminate unnecessary manual work, in my opinion. Successful investors continually evaluate new tools that improve productivity, reduce errors, and provide better information for making informed business decisions. The result is a business that becomes more organized, responsive, and scalable. And then finally, number six, in building a business that you love, is build a business that supports your life. Build a business that supports your life. And I suppose the question is, what good is financial success if your real estate business leaves you exhausted and unable to enjoy it? What's the point if you can't enjoy it and it leaves you drained out all the time? Well, many investors pursue financial freedom only to discover they've created a business that consumes every evening, every weekend, every vacation. Constant emergencies, poor delegations, weak systems, and unclear priorities often leave investors feeling trapped by the very business that was supposed to provide them with the freedom. Well, unfortunately, burnout causes many promising investors to slow their growth or leave the business altogether. The investors who thrive over decades recognize that long-term success requires sustainability. Okay, you got to be able to stand the long haul. They establish healthy boundaries, build reliable teams, maintain adequate financial reserves, and avoid taking unnecessary risks that can create constant stress. They understand that preserving their time, their health, their relationships is just as important as growing your portfolio. Okay, a real estate business should improve your quality of life, in my opinion, not diminish it. So when your business aligns with your personal values, your goals, and your lifestyle, kind of investing becomes more enjoyable, decisions become more clearer, and long-term success becomes easier to sustain. That's what I was striving for. That's what I'm striving for on a daily basis. The ultimate measure of success isn't simply the number of properties that you have, but whether your business allows you to live the life that you originally set out for yourself to create. That's really the key. And so let me wrap it up in conclusion. Building a successful real estate business involves far more than just acquiring properties. It requires intentionally creating a business that reflects your goals, supports your lifestyle, and positions you for sustainable long-term growth. The investors who enjoy the greatest success understand that every decision making, from selecting the property, building systems, to hiring the right team, and leveraging technology contributes to the overall quality of your business that you're trying to create. The experiences of successful and unsuccessful investors demonstrate that true financial success alone is not enough. Without a clear direction, efficient systems, trusted relationships, and disciplined decision making, even profitable portfolios can become overwhelming. Conversely, investors who remain focused on building a business they genuinely enjoy often experience greater consistency, stronger financial performance, and a much higher quality of life. That's what I'm shooting for, and hopefully that resonates with you. So whether you're purchasing your first rental property or managing an established portfolio, it's never too late to step back and intentionally redesign your business. Small improvements made consistently over time can dramatically increase efficiency, reduce stress, improve cash flow, and create a business that continues to perform well through changing market conditions. That, my friends, is what we're talking about today. It's all about trying to create a business that you love, because if you do love your business, you're more likely to survive the long haul, and you're more likely to have a sustainability that will go through, that will carry you through ups and downs, and so on. So I thought I'd do a session on that, because it can be a lonely journey, real estate, and sometimes you question, is it worth it? But it can be, and it should be, and it must be. Okay, so let's have a look. So if you got some questions again, please put them in the chat box, and I'll get to them in a couple of minutes. Anything to the real estate investing, anything to the real estate, whether it's landlord, tenant, rehabbing, flips, burr, whatever it is. Just want my take on any situation that you're running across. Please put it in the chat box, and I'll get to you shortly. And you can always shoot me an email. You can shoot me an email to joe@joeasimo.com, joe@joeasimo.com. And as always, you can always book a one-on-one with me, where we can do a deep dive into a situational problem or a challenge that you are facing. Go to my website, www.joeasimo.com, www.joeasimo.com, and I'll be more than happy to, let's do a deep dive. So that, my friend, is it for today. Let's get down to questions or comments and see what we got. Greetings from Phoenix. Hey, Datu. Hope you're doing well in sunny Phoenix. And yeah, it's good. Yeah, I was hoping Britain would have beaten Argentina. Yeah, I really wanted England. Well, it's not Britain, it's England, really. Scotland had, the thing about the UK is that it comprises 4 countries. You have England, you have Ireland, Northern Ireland. You also have Wales, you also have Scotland. This year, I think Scotland and England went to the World Cup. The other two did not. Yeah, well, got another 4 years to go. But it was a good game. Very, very depressing that Argentina scored in the last 5 minutes, 2 goals. Ugh, painful. Okay, just an update about two live streams ago. I mentioned that the window was broken out by one of my tenant's relatives. Window was replaced for approximately $600. You sent my tenant a copy of the receipt. Okay, and what happened? The tenant is responsible for the repair of the window, although I've already paid for the new window. Okay. Yeah, I recall that I think the question was that too that you had a tenant who smashed the window, and you were debating whether to, what to do, and how best to sort of get them to pay. I forgot what suggestions I gave, but it sounds like you took care of it, and now you intend to charge back the tenant, either taking it through the security deposit or send them or establish some kind of payment plan where they can pay it. Or you could do is just to, as a token of goodwill, you could have like 50-50. I'll pay $300, you pay $300. Again, it just depends on the type of tenant you have. If you got a good tenant, you want to work with them. If you got a tenant from hell, then obviously you don't want to be so generous. But I usually prefer to work with my tenants and establish a win-win, because the cost of turnover is so expensive. You know, $600 for a window is minuscule compared to three or four or five, $6,000 it will cost for a turnover after all is said and done. So hopefully it works out for you, Dow, too. Let me know, and so on. Let's have a look. Financial Five. Okay, we have. I think it's Mark from Hawaii. Yes, I was on a podcast with Mark last week. I think we got another one next week, I think. So we had a good session. We talked about real estate. Gus Afili, and Mark, and also another couple of investors. We're on a Gus Afili's podcast. We're talking about real estate investing, and very good. Different format, just talking, shooting the breeze, as they say, for investors. And we had a good time. I think it's coming live this Friday. I think it's going to be posted. And I have a session with Mark next week, and also with some other referrals that he gave me. I will refrain from saying who until after the event, but it should be good. Looking forward to it, and so on. So thanks a lot, Mark, for your introduction, and look forward to connecting next week, I think. Okay. Italia, you're 100% right. The cost of turnover is very expensive. A lot of people don't really understand how expensive a turnover is. And a turnover, for those people who don't know, is when a tenant leaves. You now have a vacant, especially for single family homes, you now have a vacant property, which means that there is no income coming in. The problem with single family homes is that you either have income coming in when someone's living there, or you have zero. There's no middle ground when there's no one there. So if they leave, then you got to paint the place again. You got to clean it again. You got to advertise again. You got to show it again. You got to go through all that ritual again. And there's no income coming through. So after you add it all up, in my opinion, every turnover is going to cost you between 2 to 3 months lost income. So if your rent is, let's say, $3,000, after all is said and done, each turnover is going to cost you $6,000 to $9,000. It really does. So if you can't control that, my friends, you are not making any money. You are not. I don't care what anybody says. And that's the reason why I focus on making sure my tenants are happy, because if they're happy, they're more likely to stay. And if they're more happier, they're more likely not to leave. And the cash flow stays in my pocket. It's pretty straightforward. A lot of landlords don't get it. But it was a revelation to me. And that's the reason why I go Section 8. I have 5, 10, 15, 20 25, 30-year tenants. So if you can have a tenant that stays 5, 10 years, then those turnover costs you avoid. Whereas your competition has to incur those expenses every 2 or 3 years. But maybe I'll do another session on that one. Just how do I make sure my tenants are happy? Okay. Anthony Harmon just sent an email. Still want to work with you. Okay, Anthony. Yeah, Anthony Harmon. Name sounds familiar. Yeah, I mean, I know we probably did a deep dive. So yeah, look forward to working with you, Anthony, and hopefully I can help you on your real estate journey. And they're building 100% of new rentals around my rentals, so a lot of competition for tenants. Yes, this is another. That is another take on a market downturn. A lot of people don't understand. During the good days, there's probably, it was easy to rent. It was easy to find a tenant. There's enough tenants to go around, so you could fill your units pretty quickly. When the market slows down, yeah, it's harder. It's harder to get tenants. There's a lot more competition. A lot of flippers who couldn't sell now have to rent. During the heyday, there's probably a lot of construction that took place, and so now you have a lot of supply, and there's a reduction in demand. So what that means, if you got high supply, low demand, is that is not a good position to be in. It's highly competitive, and if you're not careful, you're going to have vacancies, or it's going to take a lot longer to fill vacancies, or you have to start doing things in order to entice people to come, like reducing the price, having incentives, and just because it's not pretty. I've been through this before, and so it sounds like that's what's going on where you are, Dow, too, is that during the heyday, there was a lot of construction taking place, and a lot of those either rentals, whether it be houses or apartments, are now going online just in time when the market is real. It's a slow market right now, and so there are fewer people looking. So you got more supply, and then you got fewer people demand. So it's not good. You have to essentially you got to figure a way how you differentiate your product, your property from your competition. And if you can't figure that out, i.e., why should somebody come to your house versus another person's house, and you highlight all the positives of yours, if there are any, and it's just tweedledee, tweedledum in terms of what you got, what other people have got, also have. Believe me, you are in a very precarious situation. It's all about differentiation. It's all about trying to, separate yourself from the competition. Because if you can't, then you're just going to be lumped in the same way. And the only way you can compete is by reducing your price. And it's a race to the bottom, and you want to avoid that as much as possible. It's not. I remember. I remember one of the cycles. I think it was in the '90s, late '90s. I had to offer a free toaster for every time somebody would come to see my property. I mean, it was that bad. I had to offer almost bribes to get people to come and see my houses. And the market was soft. I was getting competition from all over the place. I had something which really wasn't that great. It was okay, but I was competing against other properties that were really nice. I was competing against properties where the flippers had flipped the homes, so I rehabbed the homes, and they had all the latest gizmos, whereas eyes didn't, where mine didn't, and so they had a better product than me. Maybe they were in a better neighborhood than me, and it's very hard to compete on those terms in a slow market. So I think what I would suggest is that now is the time to try to identify the positives of yours properties or our properties, and try to articulate how we can differentiate ourselves from the competition. I stage all my homes. Yeah, because most landlords do not. And most people tend to buy on emotions. So I want to have that emotional connection when people walk into my homes and things like that. So these are things that I've done in the past. There's a lot more that I'm doing right now, but I don't think we have enough time to go into that in deep. In deep. Anthony Harmon, what's your take on backflip? Uh, backflip. Backflip. Oh God, what's backflip? I know it's. I've heard of backflip. I forgot what they do. You're gonna have to remind me, Anthony, what backflip does. Um, yeah, I've forgotten. I don't use them, so but I've heard of them, and I'm sure they're pretty good, whatever they're doing. But I have no experience with them, so I'm not in a position to talk about the pros and cons. I'm not even sure what they do. If you want to just circle back and tell me what they do, then maybe I can give you my take further. Okay, we talked while you were in Ghana. Okay, okay, we talked while we were in Ghana. So you had that shirt on. Okay. Okay, so they're a hard money lender. And I must have gone I think I went to a conference where they gave away t-shirts. And so they gave me one of their t-shirts, not because I was promoting the products, it's maybe just they just gave me a free t-shirt. So they're a hard money lender. So if it's just a hard money lender, then you want to sort of understand their rates, their terms, their conditions, how easy is it to work with them, what's the process for getting qualified, how much do they borrow or do they lend on their money, how much money do you need to bring to the table, what's the interest rates and things like that, how quickly do they turn around the draw request and actually pay you. So these are things that I would look for if I was doing some due diligence on a hard money lender, but I have really no experience with them. So I'm not in a position to say how good or how bad they are. But I assume they're a legit company. But I would suggest that you may want to do a bit more due diligence. Okay, so uh, janitor on fire. I'm not sure who that is. How many properties do you own? How long has your most senior tenant been in your property? Okay. Everybody wants to know how many I've got. I mean, I've got a lot of houses, so I don't really like to tell everybody what I got. I like to kind of keep it low profile. But I got enough, and the question is not so much how much do I have. The question is how many do you have, and what are you doing to, establish your portfolio? And I think that's probably a more important question. And but I do have but if I want to, I mean, I'm not going to dodge your question. I just don't want to answer it specifically. I have enough properties. I have a lot of properties. I have enough properties, to the truth, where I really don't need any more. There comes a point where enough is enough. Um, so I think I've reached that point where I don't need to buy any more houses. I don't need to 10x my business or 5x my business just because there's no need. I'm not, it's not important to me. I have enough properties. I'm focused now more on preserving and protecting that cash flow, which the assets generate. So I'm putting systems in place to make sure my tenants are happy. Putting systems in place where I can track the inflows and outflows of funds, and making sure my tenants, if there are repair requests, I can attend to them very quickly. These are things that I'm doing to make sure I have high customer satisfaction and happier tenants. So it's really preserving and protecting that income stream because that's what I'm using to live off. And with the Section 8 program, that allows it to be realized because the bulk of my rents are coming in from the housing authorities, a good 90%, and I just collect the other 5 or 10% from tenants. So that 90% is guaranteed. Every month it's coming into my account, come what may. So and so I don't have to do as much chasing for rent as I would be if I had market renters. Totally. The economy is slow right now, so a lot of people losing their jobs. And if I was just rented to market renters, I know some people will be losing their jobs. I'll have a hard time trying to collect my rent and chasing after people. And with Section 8, you don't have to do that. You don't have to chase after people every month. On the second or the third of the month, it just hits your account. So yeah, so that's why. How long has your most senior tenant been in your property? My longest tenant is 30 years, 30 years, which is almost unbelievable. 30 years, and she's been with me for a long time. And she has a voucher and a great tenant. She's very happy where she is. Her family, I mean, I've known the family since 30 years ago. So she's paid for the house essentially, and it's a win-win. She's happy, I'm happy, everyone's happy. She takes care of the house, and she's a great tenant. In fact, it's her birthday next week, so I'll be sending her a birthday card, and so on. So yeah, so but I have 25-year tenant, 22-year tenants, 20, 18, 15, 11. As you can see, it's high, and it's high because not because I cross my fingers and hope for the best. It's high because I have a calculated strategy on making sure my tenants are happy and making sure that they stay a long time. So that's how that works. Okay. Conway, Linda, you had your shirt on. Okay, got that one. Lots of love. Okay. Okay, Anthony. Thank you. Wow, a lot of questions here, Anthony. What's your take on multi-unit properties versus single-family homes? I only have single-family homes. I don't have any multi-family homes. Um, why? I'm just comfortable with single-family homes. I understand them. Um, it's an asset class which, if I want to sell, is very easy to sell. Um, it's I do Section 8s. So my take is that I want long-term tenants. I'm averaging 7.5 years per tenant, per family on my properties across the board, which is not bad. I'm trying to get it to 8.5. But yeah, so my take is that, and I primarily deal with 4, 5, and 6 bedroom homes with 4, 5, and 6 bedroom voucher holders. So my take is that if you have a 4, 5, or 6 bedroom voucher, you have 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 children in your household. So my take is that if you have 4, 5, 6 children in a house, at some point they want a house. An apartment is just not going to cut it. And so if I have apartments or multifamily, at some point they're going to leave. Not because I'm a bad landlord, or they just want a house. So my take is that if I buy houses, then they're more likely to stay longer because they've reached the end of that journey and they want stability. They want to be a part of the community. They want to, establish roots. And so I do all I can to support that. And that's the reason why I do single family. Again, I got nothing against multifamily. Single family are riskier because if it's empty, you get zero income. Whereas in multifamily, if one unit's empty, you're still getting, income from the other units. So it's not feast or famine so much with multifamily as it is with single families. But I put certain things in place to mitigate that risk, and I'm just comfortable with multifamily, and I believe in that asset class. I'm not as familiar with multifamily, so but I just prefer single family. That's just my personal preference. Okay, let's have a look. You have great systems. Thank you. Doesn't Section 8 inspect each year? Yes, well, it depends on the jurisdiction that you're in. In Washington, they do it every 2 years. And some places, in fact, most places every year, but in Washington, D.C., it's every 2 years, which means that every 2 years, an inspector from the housing authority is going to come over to your house and check the property against what they call housing quality standards, HQS, to make sure that certain things are in place. It meets code, it meets HUD, health and safety regulations, and things like that. If you understand what the inspectors are looking for, it's not a big deal. Just like taking the test, if you know the questions, you're more likely to pass. So I know it's not difficult to understand what it is that the inspectors look for. And so if you can go in beforehand and have your repairman or handyman, or if you have a good relationship with a tenant, to check those things before the inspector shows up, then you're more likely to pass it. In fact, I had an inspection today. Hopefully she's passed, and so on. She's dang near family. Yeah, she sure is. 30 years. What's the best way to obtain the properties that you acquire? What's the best way to obtain? Most of the properties I purchased, I purchased through MLS. Through advertised on a public MLS system. Most of them. Every so often, I found stuff through wholesalers, but most of the houses that I've purchased over the years have been through MLS. And I work with real estate agents. I spend time with them, educating them on my criteria, or my buy boxes, as people call it these days. And so that way they clearly understand what I'm looking for, and also they understand what I'm not looking for. And they tend to feed me properties that meet my criteria, and I can make offers a lot faster. So on. So what's the best way to? I mean, that's the way I do it. I'm not saying it's the best way. It's just the way I do it. Every so often, I have relationships with wholesalers, and I do purchase some stuff through wholesalers as well. Sorry about that. Oh, long day. Great point. Okay. I understand. Okay. Well, I'm glad that my explanations were helpful. Again, if you got a couple more I've got a couple more minutes before I wrap it up for the day. And if you got some questions, please put in the chat box. But these are interesting times. The market's slow, which means that there are good opportunities if you to buy. And so if you're a buyer, now is a good time. There's less competition, there's more inventory, and sellers are a lot more reasonable, um, you know, than they were 2, 3, 4 years ago during the heyday of bidding wars and escalation clauses and all that stuff, and so on. So yeah, it's a good time to buy, but you have to know what you're doing, and you have to be able to ride out the turbulent times that we're in, and that's really my area of specialty. Anthony says, "We appreciate you, Doc." Okay, well, thank you. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up in a couple of minutes. So if you got some questions, please put them in the chat box. Otherwise, I am done for the day and going to spend the rest of the night relaxing and chilling, as they say. Yeah, again, if you want to reach out to me, you can send me an email. I'm available on email is joe@joeasamoah.com, joe@joeasamoah.com. And that's my email address. You can also obviously attend next Wednesday's live stream, and you can pose questions there. So with that said and done, my friends, have yourself a wonderful evening. And it's very sad that England lost today. I wish they won, but what can you say? Good night, my friends. Have a good weekend. Rest of the week. Take care. Bye for now.